Hello there. Thank you for joining me once again. Alright, today we're going to do the accompanying lesson and analysis for Out of My Mind, the Perfecto mix, the live version. This led down an unexpected rabbit hole in trying to figure out who played bass on this Perfecto mix, and also led into Wes Wehmiller, who was Duran's live bassist at the time because John had left the band. This was his hiatus from Duran Duran. So anyhow, let's get right to it. Let's go to the recorded version of the Perfecto mix and check out what the bass is doing. We can tell right away that we're just dealing with 4 notes. So that's the beauty of this song. It's really about just getting into that trance. Like I said in the performance video, you're just meditating, you're just letting it flow. Even when we get to the chorus, we're still only dealing with 4 notes. But let's stick to the verses for now, which is a pattern that we just heard. Let me switch to this. Okay, so we are basically just dealing with going C sharp to G sharp. And for now, let me turn the overdrive off. Okay, so we're just dealing with this note to G sharp. And the pattern, though, is a bit tricky. It's a bit deceptive. And the way I like to think about it is that at the C sharp, you're doing 3 notes at the tail end. And when you're doing the G sharp, you're doing 2 notes. So without doing the embellishments, you're basically doing this. So you're switching it. You're going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 on the C sharp, and then you're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 on the G sharp, like this. You hear that? So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And doing the embellishments, and you notice I'm not even using the low B on the 5 string here yet, because I did say I would show you how to do it on 4 string, so we're kind of going to go backwards here. So on a 4 string, I would just do it that way. I would just go. And if you want to do the embellishments, which they are crucial to the part, but I'm still going to call them embellishments because they still enhance the pattern, the basic pattern I'm showing you. You would do something like this. And slowly what I'm doing is I'm doing a hammer on right there. Do 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 do. Boing bum bum ba ba. And you don't need to do it every time. If you really listen to the recording, there are subtle variations, which leads me to believe that somebody did play it. It's not just sampled and programmed. As a matter of fact, if you keep playing the part I was just playing here, I'll go ahead and play it. You'll notice that it does straight notes. It just keeps going. Listen, on the G sharp specifically. Yeah. Dong ding diggy diggy. So maybe the bass player was just trying to give themselves a break. Or maybe since the bass was kind of being soloed, they decided to just mix it up a bit. So yeah, that's the basic pattern. Now, if you have a 5 string and you have the stamina, because it's kind of a stretch, at least on this bass, on this Dingwall, you know, we have this 37-inch B string, you would hit a low C sharp first. So you'd go. You kind of have to be quick about it, and when you're playing it at tempo, you just have to practice that over and over, so it's just second nature, and you're just letting it fly. And of course, one of the hallmarks of the song is the distorted bass. If I switch it on, this is not what I used in the recording, but downstairs here in my little setup, I'm trying this new pedal out. And anyway, so this is the overdrive sound. Well, that's all there is to it. Let's try that in 4-string mode. So that's the verses, and there's only one other part in this song, and that's the choruses. And let's listen to that. Let's see if I can hone in on it. So right there, we're just going C sharp to B, and then G sharp to F sharp. And it's all this. It's all this. So it's very simple. Just the single notes would be. And listen to the bass drum, because the bass guitar is following, not exactly, but it's complementing the bass drum. Listen. Slowly, it would be something like this. Which also takes a bit of practice, because there's a lot of swing in that. Again, if you can't do that, then do less of the swingy notes, or just play it straight eighths. And then just build it up to where you can do the whole thing. So that, whoa, let me get back to this. So yeah, that pretty much covers the main parts of the song. Now, since there aren't many parts of the song, there's not a lot to do in terms of harmonic analysis, but I will go ahead and show you a couple of things. Okay, so in the verses, there's really, this whole song is really just pedaling on like this C sharp minor 7th, which is pretty much this. And the bass is basically just going. So ding 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 ding. But just simplifying it, it's like. So it's that drony character, right? The chords aren't really changing. It's really the bass that's making it feel like it's changing. And when we get to the chorus, it really is droning, at the very least, on the G sharp and B. And if we just focus on what note the vocal is ending up on, it might sound like this. And I'll try to play the melody. Maybe it goes like this. roughly something like that. Droning on those notes, there feels like there's movement. It's because of the bass. Cool stuff, right? So we've covered the bass, we've covered the harmonic movement. Now, who played bass on this? Well, I start looking into it, and one of the first things I thought of was, well, Warren's more than capable of playing the bass. So it was probably Warren, and I'm leaning towards it was him. But then I remembered there's this guy that was working with Duran at the time. His name is Anthony J. Resta. If you haven't been to this website, you should check it out. I'll put a link in the description. studiosecretsa2z.com. Anthony Resta and also Bob St. John, who was more of the engineer, were doing a lot of work on Midazoland. And I listened to this whole half an hour thing about Out of My Mind, hoping, and I had listened to it before, but I re-listened to it because it'd been a while, hoping to hear something, a clue about who might have played bass on the remix. And right about this point, they start talking about the remix, or I thought they were talking about the remix, but they're talking about a different remix. And apparently there was another one called the Electric Remix, and I'll show that to you right now.
So we got a little clip here for you. It's 2 minutes of the Electric Remix that we did for Out of My Mind. It's got some different cuts in it. I think it's different drums, although the pattern is similar. But there's a couple little surprises on it. Hope you enjoy it.
So you can go and listen to the rest of it. It's not the Perfecto remix. He does mention at the end, yeah, there were a bunch of other remixes, and maybe there's even a CD out there that has all the different remixes. The CD that I have, that I've always listened to, is this one. And let me see if I can get a bigger shot of that. Yeah, it looks just like this. And if you look carefully here, they're all called Perfecto. And at first I thought that was just a clever name, but it turns out, if you go down here to the credits, there's a link here on Perfecto, and that was actually a production team. These two guys, Paul Oakenfold and Steve Osborne, were Perfecto, so that's why it's called Perfecto. There are other remixes for other bands also called the Perfecto mixes, so I guess they were well known at the time. Anyhow, could have been one of those guys, or maybe they hired a bass player to do that awesome distorted bass line. If you notice here, it says additional programming by, and even though it's under the heading of percussion, I mean, you never know with these credits, you can't totally trust them. It could still have been Anthony, but who knows? I mean, I don't know. It also could have been Wes Wehmiller. Speaking of Wes Wehmiller, of course, we were all bummed out to hear at the time that John decided to leave Duran. Fun fact, my brother and I were at whatever that event was. It was some kind of like Duran Con in Hollywood. We were there and heard John deliver the news right there, just 20, 30 feet away from us. Deliver the news that he was going to leave Duran. I remember, this burned into my head. I just turned around to my brother and just, what? Like, did I just hear that? Did he just say that? Wow, that was a crazy day. So anyway, though we were all bummed, we have to give Wes Wehmiller credit for playing bass with Duran, mostly live. I don't think he recorded with them, but I could be wrong about that. If anybody else knows for sure whether or not he actually did any recorded work for Duran, leave that in the comments below. I wish we could get Warren's ear on this. I'm sure he would know. All right, so I think this video is kind of also going to turn into a tribute to Wes, because I don't think we should dismiss him. Let's just put it that way. So when I did my performance of this last week, if you look at the inset video, of course, it's a live video and Wes is playing on that. So I started to look him up a bit. I remember doing this once before, but this time I looked him up with a little more in-depth coverage, let's say. So there's quite a bit of info about him. I limited myself to just this first page of search results, and I just want to kind of go through some of the tabs. If you start reading all these pages, by the way, he was really good friends with Bryan Beller, who is a terrific bassist and has a great career all on his own. They went to Berklee together. I guess he graduated in '92. I know Wes was there for a couple years and then just started working, basically. He was such a great guy and made such an impact. We are at a page from his old school, his alma mater, Berklee College of Music, talking about him. And since he died in 2005 of thyroid cancer, apparently, they have been doing a tribute concert for him. And here at Bryan Beller's website, he talks a little more about that. At least as of 2022, check this out. They're still doing this WesFest to raise money for the Wes Wehmiller Scholarship. In this video, which again I'll link below, the very beginning is Steve Bailey and Victor Wooten. I mean, bass monsters just jamming out and talking. At the very beginning of this video and here, check this out. This is the part of the video where they're doing a video tribute. Check this out. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool that they're using a live version of Ordinary World. So I'll leave it at that. Again, I'll link it below if you want to watch the whole thing. The beginning is a lot of jazz, a lot of jamming. So, that might not be your thing, but quite an accomplishment if that's, the right thing to say, that after all this time, they're still doing WesFest for him every year. I don't know about 2023 or 2024. I haven't looked it up, but man, it's gone for a while. I also want to say here that when I read his bio here in the tribute pages that were put up in his honor, I kind of felt like, wow, some of what he did paralleled my own life. He wasn't that much older than me. He's older than me by a couple years. I was born in '73. Here he's born in 1971, and he's got quite a jazz background, or, well, like I said, he attended Berklee. Yeah, I went to an arts high school where I played a lot of jazz too. I kind of could relate to a lot of it. I wanted to share this photo. This is on that same tribute site. Look at that. He had a yellow factor. I know it's yellow because they say it's yellow in another picture. All of that other picture is also in black and white. You can't tell. So good thing they said it was yellow. So yeah, he had a yellow factor. I think this is him in high school. So yeah, pretty awesome. He had a factor in a high school. Here's the official Duran page where they gave the news. And I left this up because they mention here that he was an avid photographer and his work can be viewed here. And that is still up right here. So I start looking at this, and yeah, it's pretty addicting. There's first of all, there's a fair amount of Duran pictures in here. If you look through the categories, more Nick than Simon, and a fair amount of Warren and Joe Travers, the drummer, the touring drummer too, which I'm also a big fan of. Another thing about Wes, and this all sort of coincided nicely, is that I had a comment on the New Moon on Monday redo that I did, asking me if I had checked this out, which is Wes playing New Moon on Monday, and I hadn't, and I'll play a bit of it for you. I think he does some tasty licks here. I mean, he's changing the part, okay, but hey, he was their live bassist, and hey, they let it fly, so let's enjoy it. Check it out. So there he goes. I muted myself. There he goes. Let's listen to that again. I think it's a cool lick. Yeah, so let's keep going. With answers, all of which I deny. Said it again, but could I please rephrase it? Maybe I can catch you right. So he's doing those very staccato, right? He's like going, not really popping them, kind of doing a staccato thing. That's kind of Wes's style, is very staccato in a lot of places. That one's cool. Let's listen to that one again. Maybe I can catch you right. Pretty cool. I couldn't really put it much plainer, but I'll wait till you decide. Morning siren, as if I could ever hide. Last time I lived, now the chorus, he changes it up a bit too much for my taste, but listen. I like that. I like the end there, though. That's pretty cool. You know, in all honesty, I do recall going to live shows and hearing Wes play the Duran stuff and thinking, he's not really doing it just like John, but I always respected what he was doing. And yeah, I was really bummed out when I heard that he passed away. I mean, 2005 at the age of 33, that's crazy. And apparently he was still doing stuff. Like the week before he died, I believe he still played a show. And a lot of people didn't even know that he was sick. All right, I've saved the best for last. The universe was definitely taking care of me this week by putting this recommendation forth. I'm going to show you guys a video, a recent interview with Simon and Rob Brydon, where he talks about Wes. Check it out.
I've got a lovely story. We had this amazing bass player, Wes Wehmiller, who, this was in the days when John wasn't in the band, in one of his hiatuses from Duran Duran. Wes Wehmiller was this lovely American guy. He's not around any longer. But anyway, he told us a story. He'd been driving down Pacific Coast Highway, and suddenly he hears the siren and sees the lights in his mirror. Pulls over. Policeman gets out of the car, taps on the window. He winds down the window, and the policeman leans in and says, "I've been waiting all day for an asshole like you to come along." And Wes says to him, "Well, I got here as quick as I could."
Oh, what a line!
Didn't save him.
It should have done. If that policeman had any integrity, he'd have said...
Or sense of humour.
Yeah, he would have given him a high five and said, "Be on your way."
Yeah.
So, Wes, may you rest in peace. I hope everybody enjoyed that, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.